Hi, this is the first video on this channel. I'm treating this channel more as a personal diary of sorts, and it is called Diary of a Novaturiant. I promise I'm not trying to sound smarter than I am. I found out what that word was like a week ago because I asked ChatGPT to give me a bunch of words to describe what I was feeling, and I thought it described it pretty well. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, that is desirous of change or altercations. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good explanation of where I'm at. Like I said, I really want to use this channel as more of a personal diary for me to talk about myself, maybe talk about things that have happened to me, things that I want to do, and places where I want to go. I think ultimately I really struggle with communicating with others and relating to others. I don't know if it's just, maybe it's the way I grew up. I don't know if it's just the way I'm wired. That's always been, as far as I can remember, a really big problem for me. And it reared its head at its worst, starting with college. Not to say it wasn't bad at times before, but I think that's probably when I became most aware of it. And I'm sure it's not a problem that's exclusive to me. I'm sure it's a problem that other people struggle with too. It's just, I find it hard to meet people who also struggle with that. And it's kind of hard to put into words, and it's probably something that's deserving of its own entry or video or whatever I want to call it without sounding like I'm being too fancy, because that's not really what I want with this. This is, again, more of an outlet for me, more of a way to work on my ability to communicate things in general, mostly my thoughts and my feelings that I really haven't taken the time to really think through and process. And also, as much as I want to say this is for myself, I think there's also a part of me that really wishes that people would see this. I can't help it. That's how I've been for a lot of my life. A lot of my life I've always felt like I was kind of invisible, and that's not at the fault of others. I think that's more at the fault of me for not putting myself out there. And I think there's a lot of ways that I just kind of blend in, which I've tried to make changes on recently, but I'm getting a little sidetracked. I think that's more deserving, again, of its own video. But ultimately, I made this. It's an idea I've had for a while. I've tried doing a traditional diary writing about things, that hasn't seemed to help me. And I've tried talking to people about my feelings and my thoughts, and that really just makes me feel worse. So I want to give this a try and speak into a void, if that makes sense, and see if that helps me really process my thoughts. Not to say I have any kind of like crazy background. I come from a very privileged background. I'm very gracious to have grown up in the environment I did. But like I said, I guess I want this as an outlet to better understand myself. So I don't really have any plans on, like a schedule I'll be making these. This could be the last one I ever make, and maybe I delete it in embarrassment. Who knows? Maybe I'll make them every day for the next 2 weeks. I doubt that. I don't really have any promises to myself or to anyone to upload these. It's really more at my choosing. But yeah, that's kind of what this is all about. If you somehow stumble upon this and you know who I am, as in your family or friends or a coworker or something weird like that, no, you don't. You didn't see this. Unless you want to talk about it because you found something interesting, then I'm all ears. But if not, I'd prefer you just kept quiet. But yeah, I don't really know if I want to kind of roll with just talking to a camera, if I want to do something with a little bit more editing, or I want to do something with a little bit more effort. just kind of like a lazy process, just talking to a camera in my room, my dimly lit room. But maybe I'll find the time or the interest to do something like that. I feel like that's something I would have always enjoyed, but I've just never put the effort in. Yeah, kind of rambling on. If anyone is interested in anything I said, feel free to leave a comment, I guess. But yeah, thanks.